is the bandmate for the woman I drew yesterday, which by the name of Joan Jett. Joan Jett and this lovely lady, also known as Lita Ford. Lita Ford and Joan Jett created a band called the RUNAWAYS. They got together, I'm not sure the exact members, but I remember that they were quite an iconic group. They created a whole anthem known as I Like Rock and Roll. I Love Rock and Roll, rather. And Lita Ford, one of her big songs, and that I'm kind of keying off of tonight, is a song called Kiss Me Deadly. It's kind of working through my head as I go. But she and Ozzy Osbourne actually did a song together called Close Your Eyes. For those of you up on iTunes and interested in looking this stuff up, look up Kiss Me Deadly and look up Close Your Eyes with Ozzy Osbourne. My only disappointment I have to admit to is that I can't have that kind of music playing in the background because it is a non-licensed, I don't have the license for it. And it's in her, especially her repertoire and her licensing group. So kind of at a disadvantage on that level. But that being said, let's get this party started. Today I'm going to try, and we're going to try and do a little color work today. These are what's referred to as Prismacolor art sticks. Prismacolor art sticks are the big one we use when I do a lot of live work. Prismacolor are great. Hello everybody who's joining in. Please forgive me if I don't acknowledge you really quick or wave as I have the little icon that can, the way my setup is right now, I don't have that control, but I will do my best to acknowledge all those who come on board. Thank you very much. I see a couple of my good friends, Julie Noble, Lizzie. Julie Noble, by the way, just to let you know, she was a karaoke jockey, if you will. And she gave this guy, this big ham bone, an opportunity to sing my heart out. Hey, Pepe, what's up? And she gave me an opportunity to sing my heart out. That's where I met my girlfriend. And well, Jules had a great love, too, for the Runaways. And Jules had a lot of fun with... she had a great sound. She sounded like, for those of you who are going to harken back for a moment, she had a great sound like Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac. I didn't include her because Stevie has always been more of a metal rocker kind of thing. So, hey, Sandy. Oh, yeah, hi. Yeah, Sandy. Right. Oh, my God. So, but Lita Ford and Joan Jett together created, in a lot of ways, a lot of rock and a lot of metal kind of feel. So we're going to use Prismacolor art sticks today. We've got the image of her right now. I'm going to set these aside and we're going to get started. As I pointed out before, one of the first things I like to do is always start with the eyes. So she has a very nice eye. It's not a very big eye, but it's definitely a nice little eye. Her eyelashes are a little expressive. They're not as big as like when Joan Jett had her eyeliner on. We're going to start with this first. We'll get her in like that. I'm going to come down and get her nose. Our usual thing is, now she's got one eye covered. So what I like to do in that case is at least start the hairline off to give me something to kind of work the bridge of the nose through. She doesn't have a very big nose, so we're not going to be, as often people think that as a caricature artist, I'm going to be making fun of her big nose, because Lita Ford does not have a big nose. She has beautiful eyebrow. However, Lita Ford has a great smile. So we're going to bring that in. For those of you unfamiliar with it, or that I may have to be tuning in first time, the process usually is I draw the eyes, I'll draw the mouth, Then I draw the chin and get her lip. She's got a very nice lip, nothing really huge or very big, if you will. However, her one feature that I think really needs is she has a very long chin. Now in caricature, all right, Lizzie, Jules, Lizzie, having their moment. With caricature, when I pull down like this now, I've got to start pulling in this way because I'm coming down with her. I'm kind of coming down with her hair. Let's get her hair in like this. She has beautiful hair. I debated, I like this hairstyle on her. I debated with doing the old 80s style she had going on for a while. She was rocking that poofy, looked like the hairdryer kind of went crazy. Let's get her cheek in. And again, she doesn't have a very large face. She's got a very narrow face though, however. She is very narrow. So that's what I'm going to work on emphasizing here. The reason why I mentioned Kiss Me Deadly is because that to me has been and will always be the iconic song for Lita Ford. She did do another song that I enjoyed doing in duet and karaoke was Close Your Eyes with Ozzy Osbourne. But Kiss Me Deadly was her really iconic song she did in her solo career. Of course, she did with Joan Jett. She did that great I Love Rock and Roll from the RUNAWAYS. As you see, I'm massing in her hair right now. She's got very fine hair. So with that finer hair, lighter hair, I'm going to be really careful how I lay my lines down. Her outside lines I'll keep thick because we want to separate that. But her inside lines here, I keep thin. Let's get some teeth in here like this. In a previous video, I pointed out I don't usually draw the teeth all the way through because it gives that real separated look. Her nose, however, has got a bit of a point to it, so I'm going to play with that just a little. I'm not really going to be very exaggerative of that. But she has a great eye, so we'll get her eye in like that. And her neck. But she's like hair, got a lot of hair. So I'm going to draw a lot of her hair in. You know, I'm going to pop in really quick with a word balloon like I did the last ones. Throw in a quick word balloon because I do love that moment where I kind of throw in that word balloon. To kind of probably more epitomize what she was well known for, even her song. And let me get this roughed in like this. We'll get some lettering in as soon as I'm done. One of the big things that Lita is well known for is the color red. She is very much about the color red. She has the Widow's hourglass like you see in a Black Widow spider on all her guitars and her various insignias, album covers and such. So that's really, I'm kind of liking that one a lot. This one's really looking, this one's pulling it together. We're going to get her neck in, the part of her shirt, her jacket rather. She's wearing this really awesome red jacket. And it looks like, yeah, there's a bit of a black lapel here. And throw that down. And just kind of play with that. We bring some hair definition in. Now, like I said before, I'm concentrating on these women because these were women, this is Women's History Month, as we all well know. And I'll tell you what, let's just for balance sake and design sake, I'm going to throw in her Black Widow symbol here just for the sake of it. But anyway, these are women that I felt like Joan Jett, now Lita Ford, they're both awesome guitarists in their own right. Lita Ford has really established herself. Over here, I'm going to put a guy, and I'm going to use my thicker marker to kind of get this. And I was playing with this when I was thinking about it. And a guy kind of like sitting off to the side. And he's kissed her deadly. He's done in by her kiss. Yeah, so give this guy a pretty meaty chin. And he's kind of taken that moment with her. I'll make his hair black just for, so I'm using my black marker again. I want to get a black hair on this guy just to offset. Almost looks, just to kind of offset this. He's sticking his neck out, shoulders are up. He's kissed her and he is really just completely taken by her. So like I said, Lita Ford has been, she's a great guitarist, great performer. If I'm not mistaken, she's still performing these days. She does do a few tours here and there. You can find her on Instagram. Off to the side here, you'll see my contact information. If you're interested in having any work done, any ideas, or if you want to buy any of what you want to copy, or you want the original, however you want to do this, we're going to get, and how about we do this? I'm going to put a heart in here, but let's give him that heart a little bit of a skull look. How about that? With the skull and crossbones. Part of what you see me doing here is even what, like when I worked Six Flags, this is what the process was. It was very much by the seat of your pants, trying to work out all the workings of this particular character, what you're seeing, what you're thinking about. Again, this is going to be all red here. Now, I've got my basic line work laid out, and a lot of my line work is a little finer than some of the line work I did in past videos, because this I want to put in color. And sometimes if you put too much black or too thick a line work, it kind of fights with the color. So my first color I always love to put down, you got to put down, and my shadow come out, thank you. You put a little flesh tone in. And when I'm working on this, I'm thinking right now what's referred to as monochromatic. In other words, I'm just thinking simple lights and darks in this color scheme, in this particular color. Let me get her back up again, there we go. And I'll get all the lights in where her highlights are. Now remember, I think I said in one previous, the one broadcast, last one I did, was this, what we're drawing here, these are not her cheekbones, ladies and gentlemen. These are her cheeks. The cheeks are composed of muscle, and there's a little fat pad that sits under there. Somebody who, like myself, who's got a little bit more heavier face, that fat pad gets up there, and when you smile, has a tendency to really push the eyes close. So we're going to lay that flesh tone down. I want to lay some hair color down for her now. This is the process, man. I mean, it's just getting some basic colors in, getting a feel for the lights and darks, where I want my light areas at. You can see already how this is really coming along nicely. Get her hair in that very nice golden yellow. to me, Lita Ford is probably one of the really great guitarists out there. There's another young lady, and I forget her name, and I'm so sorry. She's presently touring with, I think she's still touring with Alice Cooper. And she is another great guitarist. She has really set herself apart. Some of the other great guitarists, and I'm debating about drawing them. They're not metal, but they are probably two of the most iconic women in rock, and that's the Wilson sisters from Heart. They are awesome guitarists. The riffs that they had, and my favorite song, their really iconic song called Barracuda. So now I'm going to put in the pinks, or we're going to warm this up in here. Little pink in her nose and her cheeks. When doing portrait work, a lot of the classic portrait artists refer to this area as the red zone. In other words, this is an area where there's more blood vessels, where we get our blush from. And maybe I'll put a little pink in this heart here, just to kind of bring that up, bring this guy a little pink in here. Like I said, with her, she really doesn't have big lips. I mean, that's the thing about Joan that I'm not really focusing on. I'm focusing on that chin. And one of the things that you do is, as I create more area here, as I focus here, I have to kind of make a little areas a little smaller. So like her nose is just a little bit smaller than usual, because I want the attention here. This is where her emphasis, or where her character sits for me. She has a very pretty nose. She has a very classic nose, but her chin is just really, her chin is really, really out there. And I'm going to add some shadows now. We're going to start with some basic shadows. For those of you paying attention to the colors, I use, this is a pink Prismacolor art stick. This one is referred to as peach. I use this a lot in flesh tones. Thank you, yeah. Ornithol, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Jules. I knew Jules would know, man. So pink is this is the flesh tone, which is basically, for lack of a better way, peach. What I'm using now is what's called burnt sienna. I'm going to create some of that. This is all just to basically give us that roundness in her face. So here we're doing a little burnt sienna to really create like this, rounding this off. She really has a great face. I mean, it's awesome. She has brown eyes, what looks like brown eyes. I'm just going to open that. Yeah, she's got a brown eye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this burnt sienna and I'm going to put a lighter shade in first. And that's going to, and then her eyebrows have a brownish cast to them, so I'm going to draw those in. This is really turning out really awesome. I'm digging this one big time. Our friend here will throw in a few shadows. Oh yes, him we got to give some real blush. This is some real blush from kissing her, and our heart here, our skull heart, if you will. Maybe in here. Now this is usually red with her, with Lita. There's a red, so we'll leave that way. We have some red down here, but I'm going to put in some warm, light colors. So with that, I'm going to use this pink again. We'll go back with red. I want to create a little bit more back here. I want to try and push again. Sometimes some artists like to leave a little bit of a halo, and I can do that later. But right now, I'm pushing the colors to the edge. I'm going to go back, and now I'm going to create a more darker edge to really help separate that. give that more depth. Her chin, we're going to create a little bit of that. I want to be careful, always be careful to shading the chin, especially on women. You don't want them looking like they've got a 5 o'clock shadow as you put their chins in. So Lita is a really awesome performer. Her and her bandmate, Joan Jett, like I said, they were the iconic women of my period. Those were the women that I, as a big fan of metal and rock and just the really heavy stuff, they were the ones who really set a lot of the tone. We can throw in a little bit of orange, if anything, just to warm this up a little. Take away from that brownish color. Put a little orange in here just to warm it. The idea here is I'm trying to warm this up a little bit. Not look so flat, so monochromatic or one color. What I'll do sometimes even for the shadows, like what her nose is being cast here, I'll take a little purple and put that in just to warm that shadow up. Kind of create a cool but nice little contrast with all the yellows and reds going on. It's a nice contrast for the mouth. Really create these shadows. So I'm really working with color a lot. There's one of the biggest problems, and not problems, but one of the biggest aspects of color is colors are only going to get so dark. For instance, this flesh tone over here, this peach that I put, I mean, I can only go so dark with that. That's only going to go so far. And I need to throw in another color. Now, the edge here, you see these oranges, and we're going to get real technical real quick, is what's subsurface scatter. In other words, the light, in human flesh, the light comes in and bounces away, but also goes into the skin and comes out again. So we get a little bit of an orangish look. And then we'll go back with a little bit more of that burnt sienna. This is really looking great, man. Let me take that red now. We'll take that red and put that in the coat. The red I want to get in here, again, I want to give this form. So I am not going to hit, there is a tendency, a lot of people when they color, I would normally, like you'd see, especially kids, you know, the kids love it. And with this, I'll do this, because this we're not worried about all that form. We'll just sit in here and we'll color in a solid red. And that looks nice for this symbol. It looks really kind of cool. But for this, I want to give this more form. Give it a sense that this color is moving across her body and not just on top of her. And I'll blend it again. I'll create these edges here, which I think are a little rough. I'll come back and I'll blend that in with the pink, just to give that a really nice, softer look. Maybe this guy will give him a little lipstick red, and the heart will create a little bit of a red here, red around it. This is all with the song Kiss Me Deadly. I'm sure Jules very familiar with that song. Anybody who followed that era especially knows that song very well, Kiss Me Deadly. We also have, like I said, Ozzy Osbourne did a song with her that I loved, and that's called Close Your Eyes. Very dark, melodic song. So she really came along fast too. I was kind of surprised how quickly this all came together. I work very quickly in general, only because of my time knowing, you kind of know where everything needs to belong. Now for her eye, I put a little brown in. She has a dark brown eye. But to create a more three-dimensional feel, I'm going to put a little darker color in to make that eye look a little bit more like it's got a little bit more life to it. And maybe just a little darker browns for like up in here. You can see where this is kind of rounding over the top of her head. I'll take some of that darker brown and pull that down. I mean, Lita is a beautiful woman. She is just, through her life, she has really aged well, as they say, and she still can kick it there with just as much as with any of the young. Wow, I went around rather quickly. Let's give this guy some brown here. How about that? I put kind of a black in, but we'll put some brown. Now, my first thought, what I usually like to do is to create a frame, if you will, around the figure so that the background is not, so we're not pushing the edge of the background. So we're going to create this nice framing for her. As you can see, it isolates her very nicely from the rest of the paper. I'll go ahead, because there are so many reds, yellows, purple, and so on going on here, I would want to go with a complementary color, which would be green. Would be a great color. It's a great color for the background, I think. There's a great complementary color to pull back here. Thinking dark down at the bottom and light up at the top, but green is, with reds, with purples, green goes really, really well. So I'll throw a little green in here. Maybe even down here in the reds here, I can pull some purples in. Again, because red can only go so dark, and I want to create a better sense that she's coming out of a shadow, if you will, or going into a shadow, depending on how you want to think about it. I'm going to go ahead and throw some purples in here just to kind of create a darker contrast and create that sense of this rolling, this circular roundish pattern. As you can see, it's really coming along. This guy, I'll throw some blue purples in just for shadow. And this really went well. Wow, fast too. So again, this is Lita Ford. Runaways was her big band with Joan Jett. I'm going to take some white in the highlighted areas just to soften a little bit more. Intensify the whites maybe even. I talked about that halo, and I think I'll go ahead and do that. This is corrective fluid, also known as whiteout. This is really great. Get it started here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a halo around her. This is going to separate the colors in here from the blacks here and the color here. So this is what we're just going to do is take this and draw like little white halo around her like that. Now you see how it's already, and then she's got some really light, strong highlights in her hair. I can put those in with this. But as you see, it's really bordering her very well. It's creating a nice separation, maybe even giving a little bit more depth. Right here, I'm going to pull in a little bit darker color, just so we can bring this, knock this back, as they say, put this back a little further. Maybe around that edge, darken this. The best thing about this, the white that I'm using right now, because it's got the characteristics of paper, I can go back and color over it. I can use it to make corrections. I mean, like here I lost some of it in the color. I can go back and draw over it. Maybe even here create more of a sense of color and reflectiveness going on here. Her lip, maybe grab a little bit more white, although I did a pretty good job of creating that difference. I want to create the bottom here a little bit more, so I will go back with the purple. Just a sliver of it, not a lot, just to create that sense. There's a sense of form here. Wow, that went really quick. If you really like this one, which I really like this one. This one turned out really great. I'm really happy with it. Probably partly because I did a warm up earlier. I'm gonna put a little bolder outline around her in black just to do that a little bit more, frame that. But earlier I was at an event or a family get together. Basically, we were at a wake, and for the first time I've ever drawn, we were with family and friends that we hadn't seen in a while, and I thought I would draw some pictures of them because we were together for the first time in a while, so to mark the occasion. So I've got my warm-up. So there's this guy needs a black shirt. Shall we give him black? Now sometimes with black, is this black? Yeah. Sometimes I'll lay down a black, but black as a color is very boring. It's very flat. It has no real life to it. So I'll go back with what's referred to as indigo blue, which is a really dark blue. I use this particularly on men when I've got drawing a 5 o'clock shadow. They're a little scruffy. I'll use this. And hey, Jazz. Thanks, Jazz. And I'll use this blue to kind of give it a little bit more color. Not so flat looking. Darken the dark areas of the black. Just do like a general tone of black and then go back with the blue. Maybe even pull some blue back here just to create that sense of depth back here that I was going for. This indigo blue works really well. Maybe even put a little back here just to kind of drop that back, bring her forward, let that drop back. That's really looking tight, man. So I suggest that you look up Lita Ford. For those of you who are not that into the rock game, if anything, I would say just to really see her musicality, her time with the Runaways, her time on her own. She is truly a great performer, a great guitarist, great vocalist. I mean, she is just, in a time where women like this were really trying to find their way. No, there were not a lot of female performers out there. There was nobody to show them the best way as performers. And yes, okay, it was an all-male market, and I'm not going to deny that fact, but by the same token, as a woman trying to express herself in this male market, there were no other women to kind of give her a guidepost to figure out where to go, what's the best ways to figure it out, what's the best ways to navigate this very male-driven thing. So they literally, and yeah, you know, I mean, like any other art form, you have to prove yourself when you're the new kid on the block. And I'm going to throw some white on this edge, separate her from her hair a little bit. But yeah, so she had to separate herself. She had to prove herself. Yes, it was. I'm not going to say it was easy, but compared to the fact that today there have been a lot of female performers out there who've laid the groundwork, and Lita Ford, Joan Jett, the Hart sisters in the rock world. Now, I'm speaking pure rock, guys. I know there have been all sorts of others, but from my experience, this is where I'm talking from. There's one lady I want to tackle that I will be doing a drawing of that when I was tattooing. There was one lady, her name is Otep. She was and is still one of the hardest sounding women I first heard. So I'll be touching that realm of female performers and rock. what people would call scream metal, and OTEP, Angela Gashow, Elisa Guys White, who performed for Arch Enemy. If you ever get a chance, check them out. I'll be touching on some of the Doro, German band Dora Presch. Be touching on her for a little, do a quick drawing of her. Doro was a German rock star. She still is, rather, and she is another formidable lady. And let's put this, what I've been going for here. Kiss Me Deadly. So here she is. This is Lita Ford, member of the Runaways, performer in her own right, guitarist, vocalist. I think she's even a producer to a certain degree, I think. As a lot of the old rock stars really kind of were. So that's it. That went really quick. For those of you tuned in, I thank very much, my old friends, Jazz, Liz, Jules, people like that who kind of rang in with me. Thank you very much. For those of you who hung in, thank you very much. For those of you who are going to watch this later, I appreciate any of this. Put your likes in. Look me up on Instagram as BioMech. I am also working on the behest, and I started to play with the idea. There's a Patreon account that I will be working on where I'll be doing these videos. I'll be putting these videos up on a Patreon account, and you can become a member to support my work. You go for monthly membership. With each monthly membership, there is a monthly, there is a little prize, if you will, incentive. So there she is, Lita Ford, member of the Runaways. May I use the words badass rock star that she is. Lita Ford, she will always be up there for me. She will be always one of the big ladies of rock. So, this is Dave Kurbis. You can reach me at c2zcaricature.com. My website is c2zcaricature.com. I'm also on Instagram as BioMech. You can also look up my name on Google. You'll see my company and all that I do. Jason, thanks a lot, man. Jason Gooley, he's awesome. He's an awesome dude. Put me in touch with some of the guys from Megadeth. He was my in-between. I was nice enough to win a contest with Megadeth, and Jason was part of helped me get the some of the prizes I won. I did a Christmas card for Megadeth one year. They have a contest every year, and that year I entered with a totally different look. Dave Mustaine liked it. Jason was helping me in conjunction with a gentleman by the name of Dave McRobb. So, here we go. Ladies of Metal, Day 2. This is the lovely Miss Lita Ford. Stay tuned tomorrow. We're going to cook in some other ladies as we go to the end of March. I'll be working on one lady a day. That was what my goal is. Not sure who I'm going to dig on next, only because there's just so much I want to do. Not only in terms of the characters, the women, trying to pay their due chronologically in one way, but in another way because their attitudes and because as a caricature artist, that's what you work with. Their attitudes are so awesome. But Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Lita Ford. If you're interested in this print, you can PM me. I can make a print of it, clean it up a little bit, you know, size it to your size. Any size you're looking for. We can talk prices. If you want the original, be my guest. I will make sure I scan this first before I give it up. In fact, let me hit the mouth just a little bit more, a little pink. But part of all, just to let you know and to be, without pulling at your heartstrings anymore, with the Corona quarantine that's going on, I've been forced to kind of cut down the amount of gigs I can do. So this I decided to use as another outlet for my artwork, possibly generate some followers, some, dare I say unabashedly, maybe a little extra cash in there and there. But also because this month is ladies, it's your ladies, this is your month, and these are the women that to me, I think really deserved a lot of credit for me in my growing up and my evolution as a heavy metal rock fan. Lita Ford, yesterday I did her bandmate Joan Jett. Tomorrow, I'll take a look at I've put together quite a number of photographs. If you have an idea, all those who are watching or are about to watch this, PM me. Let me know who you'd like to see as a female rock star. Now I'm talking rock and roll, okay? Rock and roll, metal, things like that. Those are the things I get into. And when I can get into them, it's a lot easier for me to draw them. I can draw anybody unabashedly, but I have more fun drawing the things I love best, which is rock and metal. So this is Dave Kurbis saying good night. Everybody keep cool. Everybody pull together at a reasonable distance in this time of COVID quarantine that we're all under. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you for tuning in, all those who have. Thank you for watching, anybody who will. Remember, PM me if you have any ideas that you want to see done, anybody you'd like to see. We can even talk personally. If you have pictures of families and friends that you want to use. Hey, that's right. You're right, Kenji. I should do Wendy. She's on my list. Kenji, she's on my list. Wendy O. Williams, for those of you who may not know her, but she was probably the epitome of the most outrageous female performer who kind of blurred the realm of metal and punk. And yes, Kenji, I will definitely thank you, man. She is on my list. So Wendy O. Williams is there, and you will see her in all her glory and as much PG as possible, because she was very much not family oriented in her approach. So anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Kurbis, Biomech, C to Z Caricature, thank you very much for watching. We will catch you tomorrow. I will be at my 10 o'clock date tomorrow due to some personal things that went on today. But you guys have a wonderful day, wonderful night, and peace out. Ta.